Right, so now we have started 918 questions. Hold on. Right. So now we are doing right. So the first question forgot. So now we are doing right. So the first question fogged. So now first question fogged. We are doing lunchbox is done with playing chess. Right. Screen. Now is done. What is playing screen? Get fogged. First question fogged. We are doing lunchbox is done with playing chess. Right. When a knight attacks to be high value. Commonly, the king and queen. Lunchbox knows that knight can be tricky. And in the version chess that is playing, knights are even trickier. Instead of moving one tile in one direction and two tile in the other, knights in the lunchbox modified game move 8 tiles in one direction. That knight can be tricky the direction. And in the version chess that is playing, knights are even trickier. Instead of moving one tile in one direction and two tile in the other, knights in the lunchbox modified game move 8 tiles in one direction. That knight can be tricky the direction. And in the version chess that is playing, knights are even trickier. Instead of moving one tile in one direction, Lunchbox is playing chess on an infinite chess, which contains all cell xy where x are possibly negative digits. Lunchbox king and queen are placed on cell xk. Respectively. Find the number of positions such that if a knight was placed on that cell, it would attack both the king and queen. K. तो इनपुट ये दे रखा है इसने. Right. जाएगा हम करने. So like we can do. Accelerate draw on the island. Like he's playing knights are even trickier. Instead of moving one tile in one direction and two tiles in other direction, right? KNS in lunchbox. So modify games moves a tile in one direction and B tiles in other direction. So lunchbox is playing chess on an infinite chessboard, which contains all the cell x, y. Where x, are possible, they can be possible negative also. That's fine. And lunchboxes, king and queen are placed on some cells x, k, y, and x, q, y, q respectively. To find the number of positions such that if a knight is placed on that cell, it would be attack on both the king and the queen. Right. So like what was happening? Let's see. Right. Oh. right? So like I'm doing it. So this question, or like try to understand like and what is happening. So what are they saying is of course we are talking about a game of chess. So we would need some board, right? Hold on guys. Right. So like we like to draw 5, right? And 2 and the last. At the horizon. And what they are saying, there is a knight which you have. I have a knight, right? Knight, right? King and queen, right? And there's some color. Let's say the king is the color red, right? And queen is the blue color. And so they are initially placed at some location. So let's say maybe this was where the king placed was placed same color, right? And let's maybe say this was where king was placed, right? Like here, king, right? And the queen, right? Here the queen. And if you are familiar with chess, that's how happens. What happens when a knight moves is basically if let's say knight right over here, then when knight either moves in it moves in a such way that it moves two j jumps in one direction and then one jump in other direction, right? So maybe it moves something like this. And I move to in this direction, then one in another direction, right? And maybe it does it something like this one and two and like three. So this short sort of movement that night does it kind of limited to the fact that night by its virtue inside a normal chess game, right, is moving with 2 and 1 numbers in any other direction and it wants to go now. These problems, what they are generalizing is you have a knight, but the knight's movements is tricky and it can move a tiles in one direction just say like right. So I can choose move 2 times in one direction, right? Right, or maybe there are 3 tiles in the other direction. So maybe 1, 2, and 3. Right, and now the knight has come to this position. Knight is standing at this position, right? So we can understand that's okay. This knight is a bit tricky. It moves tiles in one direction, B tiles in the other direction. Now what is given to us, or I what I asked was they are asking, since we have infinite, you can say chessboard infinite, right? Where it is expanding second origin. There are the beginner place or some places initial can be kept, and that knight being kept there can course attract the queen and the king. And we want to find all such position where we think like if the knight is kept, he will attack both the king and the queen, right? This is the argument, right? So this is the problem that we are trying to find. So that tell me the number of position I feel on that 2D chessboard. 2D unlimited position chessboard with such position are there on which the knight will attack both the king and the queen. So if we look at the sample case, we will understand our ideology very quickly. Let's say over here, when we like when we had something like in this input, right? This is that I can move. So they are saying the input is a comma, b giving initially, right? On the first line xk, right? Xk and yk, that's the initial position of the king, and then xq and yq, that's the initial position of the queen, right? So the first input 210 0 and 33, that means the knight can jump 2 and 1 tiles in one direction, and the king is initially at 0, right? Initialized, and the queen is initially as 33, right? So the diagram themselves where this king, there are some position at 0 and king has kept us like this. And now what they are saying, if you look carefully here, right? So in this picture of the location moves 2 position, right? Locally there in one direction, right? So one position in some other direction. So basically I can say, okay, let say it moves up, so it goes 1 2, and then it moves to direction to the left or right, basically one like, and this maybe 2 blocks are marked as orange. So similarly, if it tries move a bit, move it to the legs to direction to the left, right? So the right, so 1 2, I think you can see my curves and my mouse, then one up and one down. This is the b equals to 1 position. So these two blocks also turned orange. Similarly, these two blocks are also orange, and these two blocks are also orange. So I can understand that okay, out of all these 8 boxes, they are turned orange, right? Orange. So I can very clear see that the king and the queen, all right, both are king out by the knight. That means if the knight start off at the particular block that it currently kept, it will be able to attack from this location both the king and the queen, right? So right. So they have said is two, which means that from a test looks like their argument there are many, there are only two positions from which the knight can attack both the king and the queen similarly. So the output means there is only one position for this, only two position for this, only zero position. As in no position available, knight cannot form attack any person on infinite chessboard to the king and the queen together, right? Maybe he attacked the king, queen, but I wanted of them attack. That's not possible for the last. So they have reported answer as zero of now, right? So you're on, you may be on paper and some of chessboard be able to cross verify, right? That the king is a queen and are being attacked by the knight. Okay, so now what we can look at the constants and discuss what is our like what we are like expected time complexity, looking for some like brute force, some quick mathematics, all right? So so second is like 10 that I've been 10 give our 8, right? Oh yes, and right, and the one test is equal to 2 seconds. Right now this is being allowed. I am very getting like I ask you what's the number of operation so you can actually perform for every test, right? Test is 2 into 4 8 and 2 into 5 operation, right? So I get in every test case. Now this is very important because if I look at A and B over here, so they are very huge. They are 10 part 8 order. Alright, X and Y are also like XQ and Y are also 108 order. XQ and YQ are also 10 raised to 8 order, and even more. So you have infinite chessboard. So infinite board, it's expanding in the horizon. So of course it makes sense for me that I may not be able to go to every position and then be like, okay, at that location should I check whether the knight and the king are sorry, whether the knight is able to attack both the king and queen. So is it possible for me to do this for every such cell? That's not possible, alright, because I have infinite number of cells to actually attack from where I could have attacked. So that is not a feasible. Constraints are also very high, right? This means if I discuss like, if let's say assuming that my solution is dependent on any of the factors, like because all the factors are in 10 raised to the power 8, right? So only all the variables are in 10 raised to the power 8. Only let's just say it dependent on one fact, any one variable. Maybe let's say it's it's dependent only a that uh, to 10 or 8. So do you think you can create solution that looks like O of A? No, you cannot, because that means I'm running a solution that's in 10 raised to the 8, right? And every test case is going around me 2 into 10 or 5 order. That means this is not possible. So below this is what I need to explore. So just below log 2 a, log 2 a, right, and b the one, right. So like constant solution, I know that the boundaries like this is not helping me. This is sort of a wrong solution. But boundaries in long terms or constant term are pretty helpful. So I know that they are going to fetch me this correct answer, right? So this is not happening, but this is, and this is, right. In such a way I try to bring my complexity as low as to log terms, or even preferably a constant term. To do that, maybe I take the use case of some mathematics, right? So I'm able to calculate the canner, or I start changing my perspectives, and this is what I helpful when we have discuss our expected time complexity, right. So redundant ideas in my head are removed, specifically the idea where I could have actually taken up every cell as position of attacking and place the knight there, or manually check. That is not going to work because I have infinite number of cells. Of course, I'm not looking at solutions like that. So now let's come to the main part. Like if I start with our solution in our head, where So where I actually considered every cell being the attacking location of the knight. This is perspective. In one perspective, this is basically I am telling the knight or asking the knight from a side, do you think you can attack both the knight and both the king and the queen, right? So let's say just reverse this perspective and see how it is helping me not bothering ourselves with the how the knight would attack. Let's see, let's say about a king and about the queen. If I talk about the king, let's go back. I will draw simply chessboard, right? So look at 1 second, guys. So let's say this is like, let's say king, right? The king, then understand this is the king can be attacked from exactly 8 positions, right? Exactly eighth, right? From the knight, right? So from the knight, let's take a very simple example. Let's see how this is happening. I will be very honest, this is not exactly 8th position. Always if A is to B, equal to B, in that case when a moves are done and B moves are done in one side and one side of the knight piece, then you are talking about the 4th position to be max. So it is at most 8th position. But then if you consider very generalized case like when A is not equal to B and we want 8th position happen be handled later on, realize in the code part why we will come then bit and we will get that issue how are we handling that part anyway. But for now simplicity purpose, let's just take exactly 8th position and visualizing them how they are happening. Let's say we forgot about this A and B sort of logic. Let's just imagine your knight was a very simple knight. You are very familiar within the chessboard is going on to perform moves in one direction and one move in another direction. So I can very clearly observe that from this location this can over here, right? So then over here it would be this, then over here it would be this and then here it would be like here to this, and we can all understand that these 8 position, if my knight kept at any of these 8 position, then my knight will be able to attack the king, because if let's say the knight is kept at let's say this location, I can move two in one direction, right? Move two down here, right? Then one in like 2 direction, or then moves in 2 direction, and then one move in left direction, and yes, I'm at the king, right? So similarly, this will this is again attacking the king, right? So this is no brainer that I have exactly right position from which the knight could have attacked the king. Now similar to this part, it's very obvious that if I draw the same chessboard, right? Hold on, right? where we let's see pick queen, right? This is now what why this is important to understand. First of all, we are not talking about the knight, right? Now in A and B manner, forget that part. We are talking about a general knight. So a general knight is attacking exactly eighth position. So the talking similarly general knight would also attack queen in exactly eighth position. Queen changes if let's say the knight is not a normal knight. In this case, if it takes a tiles in one direction, B tiles, and another direction, what is the maximum harm that can happen? The maximum harm that can be happen is like I will keep this color and then maybe I will change my pen and I have yellow color, right? So now assuming like A was a 2, right? A is equal to 2, and let's say B was 3, right? Right, B was a 3. So maximum is our location, right? That's all what can happen. Maybe if you're talking about two locations from here and three like this, so maybe something like this may like this location will work, right? 1 2, then I 2 3. So this is a possible yellow location from the night. So could have attack. Yes, makes sense. What about this location? Yes, this also works. This like right. So I will meet 8 location, right? Like sorry guys, right? Exactly, exactly 8, right? So we infinite cells to check. Remember whether you have exactly right cells from which the knight could have attacked the king. So you have exactly 8 more cells from which the knight could have attacked the queen. So I will take on a new page like 8 cells, like 8 cells from which from which knight to king and knight attacks king, right? Then you have like 8 cells. So also from which like from knight attacks queen, right? From 8 cells from which the knight attacks the queen, exactly 8 cells from which the knight attacks queen. So can I not store them? I can store them because I know standing at a king perspective, all I need to do is take up the direction, right? So talking about well to 3 in some two, so I want 3 moves in some direction, then 2 in other direction. So I can't found, but these 8th position by brute winner. Similarly, I have 8 cells, right? Stored in some data structure for the king. Possibly 8 cells stored up in for data structure in some data structure for the queen. What am I asked in the problem? Find the cell from which both king and queen can be act. So all I need to do is an intersection of these two data structure. If I have 8 cells over here, 8 cells over here, the common cells which will be present in both the side of the king attacks and queen attacks, or king hits and queen hits, right? So those cells will act as the cells from which if the knight would be standing at the location, he will able to attack the king and also the queen also. So you can imagine this problem as sort of a set problem. Now this is the set from which, like, right, king king hits, right, king hits. So right, I think, right, right. So now this will happen. So where we will respect the queen, where I find like if you if you can mentally, you will get by only exploring eight and possible cells. You will understand this is going to be a very quick of course highly within the boundary. And 2 into 5 we discussed. So of course, yeah, I don't need to bother myself with any more cells. Now I have already calculated. So I already calculated that where well valid I did the king did that from the queen, and I kind of intersected both, so I definitely get to connect valid cells. So the logic is correct and very fast. So definition I would like to the code. Right. So we are doing open the sublime. Right. Right. So I think no. I think it's visible. Right. Now I think it is visible. Yes, right. So now we can do bits. Right, like using space. So where what we see is one, right, and d is the area and dy is like 4 is like -1, right, -1, 1 and 1, right. So अब ये तो कर दिया, राइट, देन इंट मेन कर देते हैं, t then while t then a भी ले लेते हैं, राइट, तो लॉन्ग a and b, right, then like ले लेते हैं, then king x king and y king, right. So long king and y king, right. So this will, and then like sin x king and y king, right. This will happen, then queen, right, x queen and y queen, right. So x queen and y plus y queen, right, and then like sin x plus queen. So this now we can do, right. If you guys any questions, so you can ask me, right. I'm good here, kabaddi bro. Where are you from? Which college are you studying? Tell me. And if you're not, where? Right. Right. So like action y queen, and now we like to imports. You set pair int as int, right, king hits and it's right? And then we like to loop for like int j to 0, right? अरे भाई मैं यार वो हरियाणा मैं ही कह रहा हूँ. अब फरीदाबाद से भाई. Right. So and the increment. Right. So then like king heads dot insert as king j, right? Right. j हो गया a हो गया, right? And then king plus dy j into b हो जाएगा, right? This is triangle log 2b, that's why I'm writing, right? So let's say copy this code and write. So king is right, so insert x plus king plus j into b, right? And here a, right? So this is queen slash sets dot insert x plus queen plus dx j into a plus y slash j, right? Into b, right? Then like to copy b into b. So then we like to int answer is equal to 0, right? And then we like to do for positions, right? Like to position, so for loop लगा for auto position king slash sets, right? So like 8, right? If queen has its find position, right? For position, right? So as equal to queen its not and, right? Not एरी एंड हो गया. So that's why the time complexity log to 8 आ रहा है and then answer increment, right? Hmm. So like count and right and then like return 0, right? And the time complexity b go 8 log to 8, right? So yeah, copy this code and then like to submit the code. I think accept तो हो जाना चाहिए यार. Compilation error. insert में ये insert में ज़्यादा है ना, एक units वाले में. Let me see कहाँ पर आ गया. Insert acing plus d into a. इंसर्ट की स्पेलिंग तो सही है यार, इसमें गलती क्या है. प्लस डी एक्स जे इंटू वी भी हो गया. और नहीं तो यार, ये तो सही है. Let me think. X in plus dx j into v है, राइट हो गया. ओए होए, यहाँ गलती हो गई. प्लस डी वाई भी तो आएगा. Now copy. Let's do. I think this will I think run it. Right. Much better stop spamming symbols. नाइट पोर्ट क्या कह रहा है यार ये. मनीष को कह रहा है. ये कौन है भाई जिसको टैग करते यार. आई डोंट नो ब्रो वो इज ही, बट मेरा एक दोस्त है मनीष. राइट. So now this question is done. Now this question we are doing. So now we are seeing this question, chemistry. Right, chemistry. You are given a string 8 of length m. अच्छा, 8 is actually string that is जिसकी length n है. Okay, consisting of lower case Latin letters and integer के. अच्छा, lower case दे रहा है, Latin letters दे रहा है, integer case से बना हुआ, right? You need to check if it is possible to remove exactly k characters. Okay, हमें check करना है. Right. So from the string, right, a string s in such a way that the remaining characters can be rearranged to form a palindrome. So palindrome banana rearrange करके. Note that you can reorder the remaining characters in any way. Okay, in any way. A palindrome is a string. A palindrome की definition दे रखी है, string है that reads string forward and backward like A B C C B A, right, are palindromes. वही है कि H I reverse में सीधा पढ़े, सीधे से पढ़े, उल्टे से पढ़े, same आना चाहिए palindrome में. So like each test case, so आउटपुट दे रखा है और ये इनपुट है. ओके, सो इनपुट ये दे रखा, आउटपुट ये दे रखा है. So how can we think like how I do? Right. Right. समझ में तो आ गया है. So अरेंज करना, right? So अरेंज करने like if the number of like if the number of odd occurrences like of array like of odd occurrence of letter in string s, then k plus 1, right? So the So the answer no. If yes, right? Let's say like A, B, right? A, B, C, D, D, E, F, 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 right? So I have to like FF, right? So as a frequency 2E has a frequency and F has a frequency 3. Now if I ask you how many odd frequency are there, so odd equivalents of letters are there, you can say, right? A, B, C, then you have F. So this basically becomes 4, alright? So I have counted this now compared to these numbers. It, let's say this is 4. If K was given, assuming let's say K was given, let's say 3 to me, and even let's say K was given to K, eventually would be given 3. Let's say K was given 3. So 4 is greater than K plus 1. That is 4. No, this is not true. So the answer is yes. But what if I was given K as 2? Then 4 is greater than 3. Yeah, 3. Yes, so it will print a no. Basically, this number that I calculate, let's say this is x or whatever you call this should be lesser than equal to k plus 1, right? Else you have to print a no. If it's greater than k plus 1, if you have to print a no, all right. So this is the main idea, this is the main argument in this problem. Now why this is true, let's to understand argument. We have to first understand what is the actually a palindrome, how it is effective occurrence of letters, right? And what was the main logic behind that part. So first let's try to understand this thing that effectively, right? So like as you like, they are not considering increasing operation anything like that. That's not the case. You have just the power to reorder, and however you want to reschedule the we should understand that is at very end. I'm not bothered with how the string look like, all right? So because basically make any characters bothered with if let's say that I wanted this letter A to be kept at the end I. So can do that. If I want to do something kept at some water, of course do that. The power is very good. So I know I'm not bothered with how the string finally looks like. So that would him me in the direction that if I'm not bothered with the how the string looks like, I should talk about the occurrence of the frequencies of every letter in that string, right? Why? Because since the ordering doesn't matter, maybe the occurrence is going to give me hint to actually create a palindrome, right? Now when palindrome comes into the picture, there is a very important property we should understand of palindrome is that if like let's say palindrome string palindrome string, then there is a single condition that has true true like the number of odd occurrence, right? Occurrence like in the string is at most one. This is the condition. Now let's try understand the condition. Same thing number, right? So then you count how many letters had odd, right? Right, had odd frequencies, right? That should be at most. So at most that means either it's a 0 or 1. Let's make it simple example. Let's say, right, let's say the string of even nature, that would just mean you are talking about the case right here, because then you know there is no odd frequency that's coming into the picture. If that in this case, understand, let's say why there is some like L1, L, L2, right, L2, L3, L4, L4. So even I am create palindrome very smartly, right? Very smart. Over here, pick L1. That is, I pick up the letter L1. Let's say the frequency of L1 is F1, right? Is equal to F1, right? Is even in nature, right? So what can I do? I can maybe put F1 by the two number of letter from the start. So let's say, let's say L1, like here L1 divided by 2, right? And then like L1, L1, L1 and L1, right? So three letters over here, let's say L1, 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 three letters over there, right? That would be basically mean that the frequency was 6 is of course even. So I can divide it by 2 and I can place three letters in the front, three letters at the basically F1 by two letter in the front, F1 by two letter, right? At the end, so let's say tomorrow it comes into the picture that I have to take now as fs2, right? So into the case, all right, now I'm talking about fs2, like f2 is even. Yes, we just argued that all the letters have even frequency. So some of the thing F2 by two numbers of letters L2, right? Let in the front and that much amount in the back. So somewhere my palindrome thing is going to be maintained, because if you understand it means there, that is somewhere or the other, if you maintain the same sort of mirror boundary in the very middle of the string, you are basically moving or keeping that many amounts of letters on the right also, because you are keeping in the same position, it's going to read the same from front and also from the back. So maybe I can, so that I can L2 letters, let's say the amount of letters over there, right? So you said that I had L2 and L2 two amounts of letter over here basically means that FS2 was actually even. And similarly, let's say L3 was some F3, L3 has frequency, and maybe I will keep L3 over here and two times, let's say L3 over here two times, so it has four frequency, right? Let's say 4 was of course even. Let's say again example, f2 was 4 example, sorry, f4 let's say even, let's say that two, so I can just keep L4, so I can keep L4 so over here. So basically I can say this is my imaginary boundary that got drawn all right, so that I name this frequency again. So I took FUV to be 6 F2 and F4 F3 is F4. So that was everything, right? Like F2, like F1 minus 6, right? F2 minus 4, right? L3 is equal to F3 minus 4, right? So it's like F4 minus 2, right? So basically this is a palindrome. So what this means, like, is if your string has zero amount of odd occurrence, so you can obviously reorder it is however you want to create a pair, right? Now added to this case, let's say where I was talking about case number 2 where you has odd number of occurrences to be exactly. So once, so let's just say to take odd this part, right? There was some letter L5 whose frequency was odd, right? So let's say this F5 was odd, so maybe let's say F5 was 3, F5 is odd now, so there is no more letter which has odd frequency. There is only letter FL5 that is coming as which has frequency of 3. So what I can do over here, I can just, so I will just erase a little bit over here, okay? And so I want to make a sense, I know that I have to make a mirror image so that it reads from the front and back. Some I can move to other letter were not in so much to me, right? Because I just wanted to place them in front, half of them in the back, but L5 will specifically take all occurrence to the place right at the middle, right? So what will happen, I will say that okay, place L5, place L5, and now of course there is the other letters over there. So this is like L2 and this is L2, and then you do dot some other letters. So I was like L3 L4, just drop them. If you're reading this from right, right, like this, I like L1 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 L1, right, right, and then you like to dot huh, right, then L5 L5 L5, right, then you like to dot, then L2 L2, then L1 L1 L1, right. So if you are reading from the back at every middle location L5, right, L5 L5 L5, right, so will be repeated. So basically what would happen is that L5 L5 and these two L5 will match similarly, right, before and after that will match. It will keep a pair, but this is middle L5, right? So doesn't have too much, because since this is a single letter, when you read it before read it from the front and it is still going to the middle position, you read from the front and right, it is still going in the middle. All right, let's take like, so like 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 a we were thinking, I think that is clear now, right? So like we are doing the code so to make more understand, right? So as I open Sublime, right, right, so now we can do, I think, so I think this was very like STD, right? So like int main, right, and then long t, and t, then while yelling. हम लेंगे एंड ले लेंगे और एक क्या की ले लेते हैं. I think I've done so much question of the palindrome in LeetCode, right? Veteran characters ले लेंगे ना. Character is like 26, right? And 0. Right, and then we like to do a loop and I is equal to 0, then I less than n. Right, and then we like to do frequency of characters. Right, to minus a, right? Minus plus, right? And then like do odd frequencies, so the long odd frequency is like 0, and then we like to do loop, so /int I is equal to 0, right? And then 26 plus, then like odd plus frequency plus equal to characters might divided by 2, so we have find what is odd and what is even, right? So like if y divisor वाला लगा दिया यार frequency, so the layout right, and then like to be else guess कर देंगे, right? Count then like return 0, right? Copy it. I think that was done. Accepted, right? So now this was accepted, right? So now we're going to the third question. So now this is the question. Bashilja in Kekak. Right. Okay. Kekak. So Eka and Glenn, two fellow computer program decided to Vazada give Will a problem to test his skill. Vazel is given three positive integer and k and x. So he has to determine if he can choose k distinct integers between 1 to n and such that their sum is equal to x. Now since Vasil is in weirdest city in Serbia where a move leave you the problem is very weird to him, so we need to your help with it. All right, let us try to generalize. Let us try to generalize the problem. Like you have to take in three variables with them, right? Okay. So like so the three variables are like n, k, x, right? So basically is you have integer from 1 to n when we about x, right? This is like so 1 1 2 right. So when we talk about x, we have a sum that we want to create which is equal to x, right? So we write like sum is equal to x, right? And this sum which you want to create is from the integers 1 to n only, but the condition is from 1 to n. I want to like pick up right. Like see exactly k distinct integers. So like right. So this is the condition. Now what is the meaning of this? Let's take a small case. Let's say you are saying n is basically 5k, right? Let's say 3 and x is 4, like n is equal to 5, right? And k is equal to 3 and x is equal to 4. So we are trying to picture is like if you have n5, that means like 1 slash 2 slash 3 5, right? So x is equal to 4. So you want to do it by taking exactly three distinct integers. In them distinct integers, like if x is 4, so then like to so three distinct integers, right? So you pick up 2, 3, and 4 maybe. But you pick up one like or 2 and 3 maybe you pick up, right? Some other three distinct integers. But case you have to pick up three distinct integers. Some that may and you have to say whether you can create a sum, right? Some XL 4 to 4. And now what are they saying the problem? Let's go back to if like if you think you can do it print, then you say yes, right? It's not possible to do it print, then no, right? That's all. There is a problem. So let's see their cases, right? Here their cases. So let's say 5, 3, and 10. So this is a nice example. They've said I will take this over only. Let's say 5, 3, and 10, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And there are three distinct, right? And x is equal to 10, right? So I can do very simple over here. I can see this. I can take 2 and 3 and 5. What happens? I've taken three distinct integers. So 2 and 3, 5. Of course, you can count by the finger like 1, 2, 3, three distinct integers. And if you have some, this is like you get 10 because 2 plus 3 plus 5 actually gives you 10. So you getting some as 10. You are satisfying condition, and you are also following this condition that you have three distinct integers or k distinct integers. So can I say that answer is yes? Now I'm not asking about this 2, 3, 5. Maybe there was some other solution which could have achieved, right? So that's not what our concern is, right? Now our concern is where we able to do if we are printed a yes and in this, so answer is yes. And if you would argue that we will never be able to do, we will print no, so that's why if you are pause this video, right? So other case you will understand briefly when they are saying answer to be no, or when they are you will get right. So whole this is very simple problem. So now you are getting the time complexity, right? Because from my thinking, the time complexity is very important from, right? So remove all redundant pieces, so I could just have actually removed solve. All right, so over here by simple terms that I know, like 1 second is like 1 second is like 10 raised to power 8 operations, right? So then, all right, if I look over here, and k and x all are very huge. This is like 10, 5 orders over here. So this is like 10 parts, 10 order over here. So I write just assume simply arguably, all right. So we are not exactly finding the time complexity. So we are guessing exact piece of time complexity structure. So we are estimating some orders, right? So let's just say that n is like the most best variable to bet our time complexity on. Let's just say so that we are highly dependent on the orders of n and our time complexity, then I know over here that the since I have allowed in one test 10 part 8 8 number of operation, if I look over t, which is the number of test cases inside every test, so I have been given in a higher order, right? So the 10 power 4, so I will take this test like one test also has a 10 10 10 is for 8, right? So test cases is equal to 10 is for 8 divided by 10 raised to power 4, right, equal to 10 raised to power 4 operations, right? So this is for every test case. Now inside every test case I have n, and since I'm talking about the time constant would be the on order of n with term to dependency 10 raised to power 5, right? Here given in this question this 2 into 10 raised to power, so that tells me something very simple. If I am talking about 10 raised to power 4 number of operation in every test case, this is a limit. I know I cannot create a solution, right? So big O n, right? So n would be like 105 order 10 raised power 10 raised power 4, right? If I wanted something below this, so just an estimate below this gives somewhere around log powers or constant if you are able to create a solution that looks like log, like big O log 2n, right? And then the big O 1. So now this will write and this will write, but big O n is not, right? Anything about that will work n square, will not work n cube, will not work. So tells me this for a log factor of calculation or a constant calculation, right? And this is where I have a decent guess of what the problem we required, right? So hold on guys. Hold on guys, my phone is heating. What was happening here? So you are able to utilize time complexity, right? So this is much what happened constant time period, and that can only happen when you have something maths, right, from ending. And this that's all right. So this gas institution in my actually discuss the problem. Now since we are much of the point to okay institution, give me something like mathematic, that means I want to result very far. So I will start asking question like the first of all I will start asking myself is when I will take up k distinct integers that are very important, right? I'm taking k distinct integers, I'm obviously creating the sum, right? So that is what is minimum sum you can achieve and what is the maximum sum you can achieve. That's a very important question. Okay, let's say you have numbers like 1 2 3 4, right? Golden guys. 1 2 3 4 5, right? Then n minus 2, right? N minus 1, right? So create a minimum so you can create, right? So this is some below which you cannot go greedy think about this. If you want to create the lowest possible sum from k, distinct integer, choosing from these one to end. And will you prefer numbers which are very high, or will you prefer you are very low? If you want to choose k distinct integers and I tell you okay choose this integer, then to choose this integer, will you prefer to choose higher integer? No, right? Because you want to create some to very low or some to be as low possible. That means I would make sense, right? If let's say just say if k is equal to 4, then I will want to pick up the first four integers, that is 1 2 3 and 4. I want to pick up numbers that are like 1 2 3 4, right? 1 2 3 5 4. No, I will pick up 1 2 3 and then the next best would be 4, not 5. That means I that means I would pick up the first four numbers from 1 to n in a sorted manner. Basically that's true, that I give me a minimum sum. This makes sense. Now what about the highest sum? let's say let's say what I am talking about, the maximum like sum. How did I get to? Of course, since I want to sum to a very large, I want k distinct integer by common sense. It makes sense that I would want to take a target k numbers possible. So I have four numbers from the back, and n minus 2, so and this will be added, and this would give me this maximum sum possible, right? So I can push. You will understand the whole part. Now I am calculating this, and because I have very strong argument over here, the argument like the argument like you wish to make x as a sum, like this x sum should be min sum, right? Min sum and less than and less than max sum, right? So very simple to understand. You have a minimum sum that we can achieve, like we have a maximum sum that we can achieve. Of course x has to be between that. I cannot create a sum that's above maximum sum, right? If the best sum I can create is by taking these four numbers, last four numbers, right? So can you create a sum after that? No. Similarly, that the lowest sum you can create is the first four numbers summation. Then you cannot create anything that x has to be within the range. That should make sense. Now this argument is, since this x should be within the range, it should be the greater than or equal to min sum less than equal to max sum. If it is actually greater than or equal to min sum and then less than, you can create yes, right? Since the answer is yes, else if x is not right in this range, right? So the answer is no. I will repeat this again. If x is within the range of min sum to max sum, right? So you can always create, right, x by taking up k distinct integers, right? If when I talking to about no part, this no part, the no part makes pretty much sense, because we had just said that the sentence, right, x has to be within the limit. Now we are not sure whether we can create it or not. I'm arguing that we can create. It will be try to see why, but then the other counterparts as to when we can not create it. Does it? Of course it's not the limit. Only you can create x as the no part. Should be pretty much clear. It's not the min sum to max maximum limit can create x, but I am arguing that you can always create x with exactly k distinct integer when it between min and sum and max. Let's try to look at a very like you can say a simply example and get this visualization running. Let's say your like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, right? So like nine more, right? N, right? So the minimum sum you can create, of course, it if 4k first four value summation of this four value 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, right? No min sum, right? Like min sum is equal to 10, right? And maybe this was not over here. I will just remove, let's say n was actually, and so I took a first nine numbers. That if we talk about maximum you can get last four numbers. So you basically 8 plus 9 plus 7 plus 6, if you quickly add it you will be get the 230, right? Now the argument is you can actually create any sum between 10 to 30. Let's take an example for that. Like just keep on iterating one value above 10. So let's say just that somebody comes up to you and says that okay, I want to sum that's not 10, it's actually 11. So let's just picturize the diagram that I've drawn a segment over here, like 1 to 4, like 1 to create a sum 10 rather than create a sum 11, can do just a picture. This part maybe I just remove, like since I want one added value to 10, that is what I give me 11, so I can just not utilize this 4, instead I can utilize 5, right? So right. अरे यार सॉरी गाइस, अभी तुमने कर तो रखा. So right, so yes, let somebody argued okay I want to 12, then I could have taken 6 and I forgot it, gotten 12. If let's say I wanted to some 13, 1 plus 2 plus 2 3, let's constant maybe 7, even then I get 13 up to till 14 terms you went to plus 8 15, right? You want to plus 9, so I 1 plus 2 so on to 9, so would we give me a 15? So did we not see that we are able to create 11 12 13 14 and 15? Now I will give this up to you. You can actually see that you will be able to create 16 or also 17 and also 18, right? And so on. So 30 also give you that, just pick up pen and paper and just walk up and down these numbers. You can guarantee you find these numbers with a very simple part. That's actually the proof. It's sort of visualized proof that you can see yourself happening. That's a very simple reason. It's just how we saw this pattern. If you are able to create a sum, so you can always create the sum, right? As plus 1 by just shifting a bit and maybe increasing overall number, right? Any one number in this of that current value, let's say v to v plus 1, so you will create a sum s plus 1. Then front of that you can argue that I will create s plus 2, right? That you can just counter at and argue I will create s plus 3 s plus 4 and so on till you of course teach them. So this pattern following helps you to actually yield all the sum between 10 to 30 on this case minimum to maximum sum, and this actually the argument. That's why the argument is true. If you want x as a sum, x lies between min sum and max sum, right? So answer is yes if it doesn't lie within the range. Your answer is always no. All right. So I hope the whole problem is like you understand, right? So we would like to So now I would like to the code. Right. So in coding section, how can I do? थर्ड इंट में तो आएगा ही इंट टी राइट टी टी माइनस माइनस राइट then like to long and ले लेंगे k index right. So then like to give inputs right. So long minimum सम कर देंगे इक्वल टू लाइक के ए प्लस वन डिवाइडेड बाय टू कर देंगे राइट. So this is because sum of k lowest numbers right, and then long minimum sum is equal to like n into n plus 1 right. So n माइनस k कर देंगे इंटू में n माइनस k प्लस 1 कर देंगे राइट. n माइनस k प्लस k plus 1 divided by 2 right. So this is because of a sum of k largest number right. Sum of k largest number right. So now we can k largest number right. So hold on guys. So like if x मिनिमम हो जाएगा मिनिमम सम एंड एक्स लाइक मैक्सिमम सम हो जाएगा राइट. एंड देन वी लाइक टू काउट हो जाएगा काउट कर देंगे यस हो जाएगा राइट. एंड then like else no. And we'll write then we like to return. Hold on guys. Hold on guys. check to copy this code. Right. So to submit the code, so now it is accepted, right? So this is happened, guys. Now I've done 3 question in today's 900 rating question, right? So like, what was like? So the fourth question, right? My phone is very hot, guys. So hold on, guys. I like I've shifted to my headphone, right? Right. I think this was done. Let me let me see this, guys. This. So yes, right. This is working, guys. So now this is question is like third question, and now we will like to do fourth question, right? So this is the fourth question. Okay, jellyfish and undertale. Right. So okay, let's this so Floy has planted a bomb in Showdown. The bomb has a timer that is set to be every second. That timer will decrease by one when timer reaches zero. The bomb will explode to give residents of Snowdown enough time to evacuate. We will need to delay from exploding for as its basic story. That telling you it makes a sense, right? I have bomb set to some timer because it is going to explode. Alright, so you have to end tools. So only at since alright, if you use a tool, the timer will increase xi value. Okay, however, if the timer is changing to an integer larger than a timer will be set to a due to some bug. So they have mentioned all the points together. What is going to happen?
You will choose possibly some of your tools you have not used before. You choose IAT tool, then bomb's timer will be currently set to C. The timer will change the minimum of C. So like if the timer is already set to C, then timer will change the minimum of C plus xi, right, call, right. And then timer of course decreases by 1 every time if the timer reaches 0. Then bomb explode, all right. So now the maximum time is second until the bomb explodes. If the tools are used optimally, alright, so let us understand this problem, right? So we are code talking about some variables over there. If you back to the problem, it's a, b, and then some xi, right? So I will just explain, right? What can I do? So we'll just explain the like a as a variable, right? A, b, and n, right? Level. It basically means n tools. So you have some like xi, x2, x3, right? So xn, right? So now there is bomb. I will think draw the bomb, but you cannot understand that there is some bomb which is set within an initial value b as a timer. So there is a basically a of timer of bomb, and it start with b as at initially value. Then what a sort of barrier or a bug that they have created, what they are saying like is like, so the timer of bomb, timer of b seconds. So basing beam into and might reach the zero, of course. How normally it would be make a sense if the bomb reaches zero, it will explode. So we don't want to explode. We want to maximum time we can find before I know the bomb boom is not going to the explode. And to do that, I have been given some tools. Is this like x1 to xn value? What are their tools? And these tools are giving me the power to delay the explosion. So I can see if like let's say I use tell x2, and what will happen if let's say right now I will say I will say c, right? C second. Let's say the new value of the bomb on letter is c. Then basically if you choose the second tool, your timer is going to get added extra seconds, and it's going to c c c plus e plus x2, right? So it will, and what are they saying is that although you might have a large gap to jump and add your second on the timer, right? But you cannot go beyond a. So I will have to take the minimum Lena of whatever is this value comma a. That means if c plus x2 gives me a value larger than a, I will stick myself a. Only the timer is not going to show a value above, right? So now I was thinking, so like there is a bug I have reported, so all the stories should make a lot of sense before you actually start this problem. So if you are not able to understand this by now, you should pause the video, uh, and maybe given one more read and then try to understand what is the significance and meaning behind each and every variable, so it's a very clear in your head what pictures are we trying to visualize over there once, right? So this is clearly what are they actually asking to, so naturally by simple means that they are trying to tell us find the maximum seconds you can to defer before bomb from exploding or make the bomb not explode, right? That means I can cause however I want when I of course use them. I'm basically increasing the timer, right? If it's currently, let's say, whatever some c value, then it's going to c plus x and maybe minimum c plus x comma, and then maybe it's comes down and comes down, starts sticking. Maybe I use another tool and it goes back up and so on. So all this whole simulation that I will do in my head, I want to finally get the maximum number of seconds, right? So the target, so target is maximum number of seconds, right? So I can get before bomb explodes. This is what I have to find. So use tools, right? Use tools where you increase your timer, keep it decreasing by 111, and then maybe increasing it again. Some of the other tools, maybe xi tomorrow, maybe use x3, and so it doesn't matter. Whatever you do, eventually give me that find value where you think this is the highest amount of seconds, so I can make bomb not explode after it no longer up to whatever I do the bomb, right? It explodes before the amount of seconds, so I know bomb, find the value, report that as an answer. This is problem. Let's say that actually some test cases get a better picture, right? So let's say I have test 533 117, right? 533 117, like, so the time, like, this is like a, right? B and this is n, right? So the time is 3, so time is 3, right? And the initial value that upper you can say bug that there is a 5 second, there is not going to cross or the timer cannot cross a value of 5 second, all right? So great, so I can do a very simple thing over there. What I can do is maybe I can leave the timer as it is and I can be like, okay, timer goes from the 3 to 2, right? like like 3 to 2 and then 3 to 2 to 1, right? So cover 2 seconds which I have deferred the explosion, so I cannot count this 2 second gone. Great. Now what I can do is maybe I can cause tool number 1 and tool number 2. If I use both these tools, remember in the problem, I could have a single tool. Maybe it kind of gets stored in your head, right? So we are only looking to store a single tool, but that's not right. Where I can choose two, so it's totally fine. I can choose the first and second. It's increasing my timer, right? It definitely increase my timer. This value jumps up and goes to 3 because 1 plus 2, that is 1 plus 1 over here, because I use the tools of 1 second and 1 second. So I have finally 3 seconds. Now let's say I keep it ticking again. So it goes from 3 to 2. Then I one. So basically I cover one second more. And then what can I do is I can maybe use third tool. So ideally this baby jumps to 1 plus 7, that is 8, but I can't eventually achieve a value 8. No, why I cannot? 5, right? Why? Right? If you are crossing, now go back to us, so this value doesn't become 8. Actually, it becomes 5. Now from 5, I can have 4 to 3 to 1, and this is 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, and 4 second, and then finally it goes to 0. So I can count this 1 second also, and when it reaches to 0, finally it explodes. So if you add all these ones, small ones I've drawn, you will find this is actually 9, right? 9. So this question so makes sense, right? Sorry. So if you the answer, I will not go above and very clearly. Observable 9 is the answer, right? So you can pause the video and run the simulate on the second, right? So why is 21 and answer is alright. So this is the whole problem. I hope the simple is structure, so complex problem. If you don't, then the variables, since there are lot of variables, it's a very important. But that you note everything down and you have a clear visualization. What does the word mean? Great. No, there are the time complexes of like big O n square and big O n, right? Expected time complexity. Yeah, I don't that that seen right. So now you have to understand time complexity begin with the final observation. Then how did I approach this problem, right? So in this problem, like it obviously makes sense that I'm trying to simulate something. But when I talk about the complexity of A and B over here, there are very high. So imagine that I will tell you, let's say B over here is 10 9, and let's say B was given to you as 10 9. Then can you try like B into 10 is 1 9? So you cannot that I think you will timer variables down to specific value. Then I will say okay, I'm using a tool, then maybe do it again, and so on. Because you know B is starting with 10 power 9, and so what if B was given 10 is 1 9? That was very high order to simulate. You will not be able to run a loop, you will not run any V logic, and then you will not work so idly in this problem. We are looking for a smarter calculation, would make a sense if you looking something like very smart that we are able to get answer quickly, and that is what is the crux behind the problem. So we I will present you an argument. The argument is actually answer to this answer to this, like, so the arg is like argument, if I like to the argument is like, right, answer to the problem, right? So this is like, so I is equal to, when xi, right, minus 1, right? 1 second, guys. Plus b, right? The answer, now some parts of this answer would make a sense, I have quoted, right? But now what, let's try to deep dive into why is this answer correct, and where is this coming from. I think I can break down this down into two parts. This is like term 1 and this is like term 2, right? So like this is, so this s like terms, so term is a bit complex to see. Let's discuss it later. Looks at the simply term 2. Why this plus b? That is what I am arguing in this total amount of second. I can defer the bomb b is a part. It makes sense. And it should be a part. Why? Because, so timer is equal to b, right? B minus 1, b minus 2 plus 3, right? So let's say I ask you, you have not to start off. What is the answer you would have reported? Course is B second. This is the main amount of timer. The time you timer is sticking down from B to 0. Right? Like I was thinking like 3, 2, 1, 0, right? So, but now you will have tools. But you saw this B second going to be there eventually, because this is finally when it reaches down 0. But let's play a trick, because I have tools in with me. I'm powerful. I know I can do something. Maybe I can choose a location over here. I will say, okay, this is a location where I want to use a tool. I will say, okay, maybe somewhere like this. Let's say just call this location as C, right, in general terms, right? So we like to this, see what I'm talking in this problem also makes sense. I'm just asking, sorry guys, sort of boundary where I can place myself. I will say, okay, when it reaches or the timer becomes C, you want to use a tool, so you have these tools, right? Right, like X, right, like, hold on, X3, X4, right, X and right, only so you go from C to C, right? So there's like C plus X3, right? So what happens is, like, if you were standing at this location, then this location, this is location so on, so on, so on, right? When you will reach the boundary, you can say, you jump back again to some new location, right? So where you go from, right, location if which was even further on the left, and then right, this is of course happening. Now when that is happening, there is a limit, there is some limit over here. It's like when the red pen I can draw here, there's some limit, like when you actually take a jump, when you go over here, so you cannot cross this. I mean, this is all the problem that we discussed up till here. Now the idea, let's look over here. I have some sort of two cases, right? I can draw, let's say, standing at this C location, you use a tool, let's say this X tool, or maybe like X3 tool, you jump this much, this much, but you may remain in the boundary, right? So I can call this segment, right, as X3 length. It would be very fine to say that, say this like, yes, this segment of X3L, you cannot, you can say that take some other element. I will draw, I will draw here like I like C plus X3, C plus, and then case number two, where you go from, let's say, to some other tool. Let's say you use X5 tool, right? Suppose you have to write it, right, right, in like, right, you use second, right? So C plus X5 plus X5, right? Tool is very, very large, right? So you jumped a very large boundary, but you had to, like, because you jumped a very large boundaries, right? From like, from B3 to here, right? To stop over here. So now this segment length is kind of broken, and this segment can, segment called basically as a minus C. So what do I see? It's very simple. The blue area is the contribution, right? A tool is making this tool, like this tool, the from B3 to B, right? My answer, a tool is making, and this contribution is actually minimum of whatever was the, whatever like xi, like, so min xi to minus c, right? Minus c, because it's basically the minimum of whatever is these two blue segments that I draw. Either you segment is small enough, so it remains within a limit, or if it goes above a limit, then your contribution to the main answer is actually a minus c. That is, this is red portion after which is cutting off, and this is a segment that we're talking about. This area don't get into picture, you can say that this is not working for me. So when the clear in our head, the contribution picture is clear in our head. Now we know what are we finally looking at. We are looking at, looking at my answer, right? So this answer is actually going to get added every time I use some X tool. So if I say that your timer was, so the if I timer xi a minus c, so this I will use a xi tool, right? So xi tool now tell me you want to make your answer go as large as possible, right? So this value xi is not in your hand. This value xi is basically every value that is given to you in the tool, and this is an input that we are talking. So whatever input is given to you, no control over this. This is a also pretty quotient constant, so no control over this, basically given to you, and you cannot make it go anything. But this c, this c that you can choose is a boundary, right? Remember, this is a random boundary we do, right? So now if I wanted to make my size go as large as possible, so my minimum of this whole go as large as possible, I obviously wanted to make sure that any variable this in control with me is turned to some value which I think give me the best answer. So tell me, if I make this c value go as very low, so very low, then what will happen? This value, this value like c, this value c, right, is going to go very high. And if this value goes very high, when I take the minimum with this value on xi, of course it's bound to make this whole team and go very high, right? This should be very clear. This is a simple mathematical notation. Then I am talking, if this idea is clear, you can thinking, because you can think 2 minutes. Their idea is clear, and then makes sense. I should take c to be equal to 1, right? Why? Because I cannot take c 0. I cannot create boundary at 0. Like if I say I will create a boundary at this location, bomb hello had has like already exploded at 0, right? So it doesn't make sense. I want to choose that finite boundary, the smallest boundary, where I think bomb has not yet exploded, right? So I say this boundary is making sense. I should create a boundary at this location, right? What I will do, I will create a boundary at this location. This become my c. That is why when I argued that the answer is minimum of xi comma minus 1, right? So this one is actually your c, right? So here I write x, right? The whole problem get you simulated like this, that you are basically start, right? So your timer b, you go to 1 second, and then you see some tool, let's say your xi tool, then whatever increment, that increment what happens, and then you go back to 1, and again same thing. Use some other tools x2, then use on some other tool x3, right? So then you use some other tool x4, and you keep on doing this simulation of going to one, coming back to some new tools happens, right? So you exhaust every tool, and then you finally jump 1 second extra, and you are at the location where you have to explode. This is where you finally in the problem. This has fully utilized every tool, by the way, right? It has drastically increased your answer to the highest capacity you could have had, because you took everything into the consideration. And you can give the video solution to the thought, right? You will understand the whole idea. Now we are doing to code, right? So now this open the Sublime code. So firstly, I think I say I want to see. Okay, 122533117. This is okay. I think that, so like int t, right, and then sin t, right, and then while, then a b n ले लेते हैं long a b n, right, sin x n, right, then loop लगा देते हैं for int I is equal to 0, I greater than n plus plus, right, n लगाइए, then sin x I कर देते हैं, right, इनपुट्स लगा देते हैं इसमें, so long maximum time is equal to b, so loop लगा for the int I is equal to 0, by int I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, right, and ले लेते हैं, and then maximum time plus equal to min x I हो गया, और a ले लिया था a minus 1, where it goes 1 is like c, right, right. Now this copy, hold on guys, now run this code, submit this code, right, we'll do, I think this will run it, right, right, so can I do one more question, so okay, now the fifth question I also do, this is the last question guys, okay, so now make it 0, much time how much time is left? Once. Right. So now this question we can do. Guys. So now we can do Fifth question, right? Make it 0. You're given an array then equal to non-integer and you want to change all elements in it 0 in one operation. So you can select indices L to R and you are basically selecting the indexes in one based indexing. So it basically 1 less than equal to I less than equal to R, then following then equal to N, and you do the following. You would find XOR bitwise XOR of all the numbers from AI, and that is AI job, right? And I'm still AR. Right. And this happen values as with number AI in that range. So you can just ask the operation, right? That is given to us, and we have to find some sequence of operation such that performing those operation in order all the elements in the array are 0. So can be proven that a solution always exists. Alright, let's try to generalize this. Right. So let's A is equal to A1, A2, A3, A4, right, and so on till an. And there is a specific operation that is allowed to us, right? That you select L1 R for the do you find a value S which is actually XOR value of AI. Then you XOR AI plus 1. You XOR, right. So S is equal to A L, right, A L plus 1, right. So then L plus 1, A plus 2, and then you XOR A plus 3, right? So on, right? So on, you keep on doing this. You have Z will tell AR value, right? And remember, L and AR are indexes. They are in some 1 to n range of indexes. And this is, you can say L is one of the cores less than equal to R. And then right indexes are kind of the segment points which you can think we are trying to take in this array. Now you XOR up this up like half part of operation. Full is full part is coming. Let's see BS is whole operation. We find some value. what do we say is in L2 range. Now whatever number are coming to every AI that belongs, and L is like every, you can write it like this very AI for I, right? AI for I, to L. So I can perform, you can picturize this over here. I can perform at most like 8 such operation. Now what is the target? Target is what I want to take like 0 0 0 0, right? And so on 0, right, becomes 0. So I want to do this, and they are arguing that this is always possible. The solution always exists. They are always arguing that if the solution exists, then it must be under, you can say under less than equal to, right, 8 times. So you total operation you can perform. So our idea in this operation, how do we figure out the correct operation, right? Finally get the whole array to Z0, format every number, right, to 0. Now to make things understand, we can do so. For very first case, you have an array, right? Array 1 2 3, 1 2 3 and 0, right? So it is basically all these number are considered. If I find the s is equal to 2 less than 3 less than 0, finally then I know I can report this as one of the my useful operation, right? Equal every number in this range I took while zeroing to be 0. So I basically this becomes 0, this becomes 0 0, and effectively you can say that whole array are turned to be 0. So I can just drop this, and we know that this is, so this is Z and this is Z. So you have gone from a array that initially 1 2 3 0 to 0 0 0, right? Right, 1 2 3 0 0 0, and we have only utilized one operation, right? So of course less than our maximum limit operation 8. So just do this report out that yeah, I'm doing this from indexes 1 to 4, and you will good to go on. You will accept a solution in this particular test case, right? Pick your pen and paper and cross verify them manually. So yeah, they do report out, and the number of operation, but not specifically number. The operation given in the manner they are given for, like, in the run out or simulate, right? Of course you will, yourself you say that is yes, this is correct. I am needed to get that the to be fully of all numbers 0. All right, so great. So now let us move on the time complexity. So I want to solve this. I want to figure out but do I want my ideas to run in a very high time complexity? Am I allowed to, and to do we need, because on this part, so that is where simply think comes picture. This is very very important. We know that our second allows and is about 8 to your test cases, right? So so where you like Vigo n square is happened, Vigo n is also happened, because n is like 200, right? And big O and log 2n is also happened. Big O 1 is also happened, right? So now we would like to discuss our approach. Okay, how so I will actually pitch the argument. That argument is like argument is very simple. Like if n is even right? So 2 um, like 1 and oh, there is more beta this 1 and right. So else else is like to 1 n minus 1. Alright. Now let's try to visualize why this answer true and what is actually happening in this picture. Alright, if you get this part, this would have been very easy. This argument would make a lot of sense. So before you actually start visualizing this part, let's just clarify a small mathematically outlook in the zeroing that we are trying to do bitwise, right? Itself a lot of property. That is one of the property goes like equal to 0, right? And this should make sense, right? Well, let's say that that's like 1 0 1 0 1 1 1 0 1 0 1 1. But over here, this is basically from the zero table. I will draw that table quickly 0 0 1 1, and this is 0 1 0. And this, if this is A and this is then A Z B in bit format, a 0 over here, you get 1 over here, and a 0 over here. If you just follow this table quickly, you will say that I'm getting all zeros over, which is accurately because what is happening, I will take the zor with the same numbers itself. You are taking zor on the like for NB, you are considering the same bit itself or same with itself gives you get a 0 bits. If are one, so because that you get eventually a zero, net zero. If you zor a same number to itself, and property is what is getting utilized in this argument. Let's try to visualize now. Like I hope this argument is clear. Let's right. I like to move to the right. Doing like we like to code. Like we would like to code where right. So now you will understand like from the coding section, right? So we like to open the Sublime code. So here we like to bitwise ज़्यादा यूज हो रहा है ना इसके अंदर. So like int main entity हो गया, right? And then long
ये तो एन हो गया, राइट। इनपुट्स में and is 2 equal to 0, right? So this is even, right? Mhm. Right, even हो गया, चलो। even तो होगा, like and like to count, this is odd, right? Or like count, वन हो गया, and minus वन हो गया, then count, then and minus वन हो गया, right? I like to copy, hold on guys, copy the code, so like to submit the code. I think we are very good approach, so यार रिजल्ट आ ही जाने चाहिए, एक्सेप्ट हो ही जाना चाहिए, चलो हो गया, राइट। So let us see how many of how many of C was streaming. These guys, what my channel guys, right? Okay, right. Okay guys, then end it, right?